Welcome to the Pool Remodel Pros podcast. I'm your host, James Cawthorn. In this podcast, we discuss everything related to the pool remodeling. Today, we have two guests joining us, Scott Reyes, CEO of Allen Smith Pools, and Jeff Smith, the company's president. Today, we'll be discussing some of the most common questions residents, landlords, and associations have when considering a pool remodel. Let's dive right in. Why is pool remodeling so expensive?
Well, I think I'm probably the oldest guy in the room here.
Mhm.
So I'm over 60 years old. So from the time I bought my first house and my first car, I think my first house was 80,000
Jeez.
and my first car was 10,000 or less. I think trucks now are 100,000. I think houses are over a million in most areas. So inflation has went up. The construction industry, though, typically trails inflation. Our costs and prices have not went up proportionately to your food prices, your car prices, your housing prices. So we're substantially less. We don't just raise prices every year just to raise prices. We absorb a lot of that cost, trying to keep things reasonable. But things do cost more. The cost of materials go up. Cost of labor goes up, again, not proportionally with the cost of living, unfortunately. If it did, then everybody would be making $500,000 a year, but they'd be paying $10 million for the house. So hopefully that gives you some, but things have changed. I mean, the cost of hot dogs, I used to pay, less than $1 a gallon for fuel, and hot dogs were 5 cents, and we had on even days getting fuel. So things do change over the years. I grew up in an era with no TVs and no computers and no cell phones. And when all that came in, that added expense to business, but it also added efficiencies. So as a company, we try and be as efficient as possible, keep our prices as low as possible. But Jeff, I'm going to have you address that because a lot of times people will hold off on a project because, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. It's $100,000 and they'll try and save that $100,000 and it takes them 5 to 10 years to do so. Jeff, would you mind chiming in on that?
Yeah, I'll cover that too. And then, James, you were asking why is it pool remodeling gotten so expensive? I'd agree as far as it is probably a shock when you get one of these estimates because we have customers regularly they'll have their quote from the 1997 they'll pull out the old pink estimate sheet and it'll show, hey, I got this done for $4,300. Why can't we do that price? And they jokingly they know they can't get the same
Right.
price, but we do get a lot of repeat business, which is kind of cool. So it is kind of eye opening to see a $4,500 pool that might now be $10,000, which maybe 25 years later isn't actually that much really. But think like Scott said, things just go up over time. We have people that do want to keep holding off, and what I would say to that is, well, if you keep holding off more, it's only going to keep going up more. So every few years we do have price increases, and we did have a story of a client that I think he got a quote. It was a big project. It was about $50,000, and he waited 7 years to call us back to do it, and it had gone up a significant amount.
Mm-hmm.
And Scott and I did the calculations in Excel spreadsheet. Like, hey, had he financed it
Mm-hmm.
at 50,000, not only would he have gotten the pool done 7 years early and enjoyed it for 7 years, but he would have well beat the price of the price increase. With the interest costs were still less
Yeah,
price increase.
the interest and financing cost was less than the cost of waiting.
Wow.
Which we've run that a few different scenarios. Plus your kids don't stay young forever. There is a window of time. But to Jeff's point, I mean, when I started building pools, we were building pools for 9, 10,000, then it went to 19,995, and now pools are 85,000 on up. Things do change. And again, we try and do everything we can do to become more efficient to help keep the prices down. Bottom line is life is going to get more expensive, and so are the projects.
And James, I think you're also part of your question is why how come pool remodeling has gotten so pricey, and I'm assuming you mean maybe us compared to other contractors as well.
Yeah, that was something I was going to follow up to. So, can you guys touch on that?
Yeah, and what I say to that is we're not always the highest because being able to do it, we are on the mid to high range, and there's good reasons for that. But we do have the in-house crews, which allows us to be still competitive. You do have contractors that are subcontracting everything out. And there's nothing wrong with that. We have really good contractors that subcontract us.
Mhm.
Some high-end pool builders that will use us for their plaster work and the hydroblasting. So he's going to probably be more expensive than we are when we're bidding these projects. So we're not always the highest, but we are mid to high. And the reasons are, we do have medical benefits, dental benefits for employees. We're paying
PTO,
paid time off, workers' comp, but we're legitimately paying all that.
trainings,
We
mandated state trainings.
Yeah, so the compliance in California, we've got good trucks. They're not breaking down. The equipment is maintained. We're adequately covered with our insurances. All that does cost more, but here's a story. I was out on a job. We actually didn't win the job. He did call us back out to take a look at it because he wasn't very happy with the stacked stone was falling off, the poured in place coping was wavy, tile was falling off on the spa, and he's like, "Hey, I'm sorry I didn't hire you guys, but how much is it going to cost to fix this?" And he was bringing up some comments about the crews, how they were mentioning to him that they weren't getting paid by the contractor. And it kind of made sense. You could see they weren't taking a lot of pride in their work, knowing their paycheck might not be coming that Friday or whatever day they're getting paid or supposed to getting paid. And our employees always get paid. They're happy. There are a lot of very long-term employees, a lot of 10 plus, 15 plus, even 20 plus year employees, and that translates into the final product. It truly does. You're just going to see that level of care and quality and detail. That's what a lot of people are paying for, is when they think Allen Smith is synonymous with quality. We are not a commodity, this industry. You could have 5 contractors do the same backyard, and you're gonna have 5 different results in many cases on the quality.
Yeah, to Jeff's point, I mean, we're in compliance. We pay our workers' compensation. We pay our liability insurance. All our trucks are insured. We try and keep them in good working order. All the state compliance, the training, harassment training, sensitivity training. There's all these different mandates, which are a good thing in a workplace. But we're the size of a company that has to comply with all that. And we maintain a showroom. We maintain an office staff. We maintain a service department. So when you call us, it's not just you're waiting for one guy to come out. If I'm not available, there's 10 other people that might be available to go service the client. So all that comes with a cost. And we try and minimize that. But that's what you're buying. And the old adage, you get what you pay for, really holds true in our industry as well as other industries.
Thanks for listening for our listeners to the Pool Remodel Pros podcast. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe for more insights on pool remodeling. See you next time.